Hey everybody, Rob Hoke here, Bass Talker Fishing. I want to give you a product review today, and it's not even a product that you're going to use on the lake, but it's probably more important. Like I said in my off-season video, one of the things I like to do in the winter is study. I like to read books, read fishing articles, watch fishing videos, just to try to give myself more knowledge for next year. Obviously, working on rods and reels and your tackle and stuff is all good too. But the book I'm going to talk about today is the Fisherman Largemouth Bass Book. Okay, it's about 340 pages, but let me tell you, when this book has really changed the way I think about largemouth bass and the way I approach different bodies of water when I'm in search of largemouth bass. A lot of times what can happen when you're stuck to fishing only a few select pieces of bodies of water, especially when you're in a certain area of the country and you don't get out to the bigger lakes, or you don't get out to different water clarity type of lakes or different bottom compositions in your lakes. When you're fishing pretty much the same kind of lake all the time, you kind of get zeroed in on fishing for bass in a certain way. When that certain way might not work in other bodies of water. So this book is great for teaching you just about how largemouth bass act, why they do certain things, how they do certain things. But some of the different chapters in here are Meet the Largemouth Bass, and that's basically about them as a fish and how they act and their tendencies and stuff like that. The Year of Largemouth Bass. That is great. That is great information because they break down the seasonal habits of largemouth bass throughout the entire calendar year. Which, if you put that information, look and get maps of all your lakes, you can really narrow down your starting point and really cut out a lot of wasted water when you're fishing for these bass in specific seasons. It talks about locating bass in lakes, locating bass in reservoirs, locating bass in rivers, how to pattern fish. And what they mean by pattern is a certain depth, a certain bait, a certain retrieve, a certain color. Like when you can narrow things down and replicate that all over the lake, that's a really solid pattern, and a pattern that will catch you fish throughout the lake that day. And as a bass fisherman, when you go out, those are the questions you should be trying to figure out every time you go out and fish. That's why it's very important to pay attention to everything you're doing when you're fishing. How far was the bait off the bottom? How fast was I moving the bait? Was it a twitch? Was it a pause? Did I bump something with that square bill that caused that strike? What color was I using? And just little things like that. Those are the little tips and tricks to patterning fish. It talks about your equipment, your boats, motors, rods, reels, and then it gets into specific type of baits. It also, the last section is management, which is great if you have your own lake, if you have your own, whether it's a pond or a couple acre size lake. You want to be able to manage that lake property so that you have a healthy environment so that those fish can grow. But I can safely tell you that this book has changed how I approach bass fishing. It's really, I would say it increased my knowledge by a couple 100%, and I would say that it made me a better bass angler probably by the same amount. So definitely check it out. I got it on Amazon. I think it was like $10, but I highly recommend this book. Hopefully you read it. Hopefully you'll learn some new things from it, and next year when you start fishing, you're just better prepared and you have a better year next year. All right. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. We'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks.